What do you get when you cross this with this? You get that. What the heck is that, you ask? Let me explain. Let's start off by talking about one of the biggest, baddest toy lines to ever implement light piping. Here we have Inhumanoids by Hasbro, circa 1986. One of the biggest, baddest toy lines to ever implement light piping. On the left, we have the Earth Core Scientist Liquidator. On the right, we have the monstrous Decompose, the main antagonist of the series. Both of these use light piping. As you can see on Decompose, he has it going to the top of his head out of the front of his snout. And on Liquidator, he has it going to the top of his helmet out of his goggles. To get a little better view, you can see the plastic spot on the top. That's where the light goes in. That spot on the front, that's where the light comes out. I'm going to turn down the lights here so you can get a better view of this in action. So light goes in the top, and as you can see, comes out of the snout. And that makes for a really cool effect. And for Liquidator, it might be a little hard since he's still in the package. Light goes into the top of his goggles and comes out of the front to make them look like they're glowing. And these aren't the only two out of the line that have that feature either. I believe most of the figures, if not all of them, implement light piping, which is why I say it's one of the biggest, baddest lines to implement. Almost all of its figures have light piping. That's one of the main selling points, one of the main features, aside from some of the actions where Decompose here has clamps on the back where you squeeze him and his rib cage opens and closes to show his guts and such on the inside. And Liquidator here has a backpack and a hose and all sorts of accessories. And the other figures like Augur and the Redlands, they also have light piping and other features along with it, which makes Inhumanoids one of my top toy lines. Now, they are a little hard to get your hands on. Tendril, Metlar, and Decompose are rather large. They're all pushing 15 inches plus, and Tendril actually is a pretty good size all around since he's got his arms and his legs and kind of tail tendrils hanging off. So now that we've seen how light piping works, let's see it in action in some other toy lines. Up next is a familiar face I know that you've seen before on one of my previous videos, and probably won't be the last time you see him, is Darkseid from the Superpowers line. On top of the cloth goods that he was featured in before with the cape, he also has the action gimmick, and he has the light piping gimmick as well. As you can see from the video here, you can already see his eyes glowing. So let's do like we did before and let's kill the lights and see it in action. And here is the ominous Darkseid getting ready to fire his Omega beams. Better watch out, Superman. And that brings us to Scourge, aka Nemesis Prime from Transformers. Transformers didn't have a whole lot of light piping, especially not in the early years. And I think Scourge right here might be one of the earlier examples, and don't quote me on that as Transformers aren't my main area of focus. Now, one of the things I like about this guy, other than his obvious kick-ass color scheme, is his posability. He's not a modern Transformer. He's not exactly G1. But he poses really well. He transforms well very easily. He represents his vehicle mode really well and his robot mode really well. And he does sport that really killer light piping glowing eyes bit. So you know what we're going to do? Let's kill the lights. And there you go. How badass is that? He just looks really cool. Just that black silhouette with those red eyes glowing. You know he means business. And here we have, last but certainly not least, bringing up the final bits of this episode. Yes, I know it was a short one, but light piping wasn't as popular as a lot of the other gimmicks implemented in toy lines, and I didn't have a whole lot of representation in my collection, save for the ones that I showed you, and maybe a handful more of the same toy lines. So I picked out these thinking that these were probably some of the cooler ones that you would appreciate. This is the 1993 Kenner Batman Animated Series Scarecrow. Now it's time to kill the lights. Look how creepy he is with those really orange glowing eyes. He is a great representation of light piping.